The NFL draft is fascinating. I think even far more fascinating for bad organizations as opposed to good organizations. Because when you think it through, let me lay out the case. In particular, a couple different players. But when you think about bad organizations, typically they're bad most of the time. Right? It's rare, outside of the Detroit Lions, it's hard to find too many teams that have been bad a good chunk of your life and all of a sudden they're good now. Now, in the case of the Cowboys, they were really good a good chunk of your life and they're terrible now. But so they're bad organizations that are forced to bet everything on one or two players. And when you think of it in those terms, how can they get out of that hole that they just stay in all the time? It really makes it that much more fascinating. If they get bad organizations, if they get the wrong player, if they get it wrong, they're doomed for the next 3 to 4 years. And all you had to do is look at Washington a year ago, a bad organization that had been run terribly with a crazy, perverted owner. Ultimately, the NFL forced him out. They hire a coach. They get a new owner. They got a new investment group. And they hit on Jaden Daniels, and they went from 4 wins to playing for the NFC Championship game. Now, is it only because of one player? Not quite, but almost. If they get it wrong, they're stuck. They're stuck. The 2 players from Colorado are fascinating themselves because it all kind of works together. And they are Travis Hunter, the best player in decades. I've been saying this for a couple of years. I think it's now pretty obvious. He didn't just win the Heisman Trophy. He changed the narrative of the sport entirely. So there's Travis Hunter, then there's Shedeur Sanders. Now think about this. The last time a program had 2 players go in the top 5, 3 to 5 of the draft that didn't even win their league. I have no idea when that was. I mean, you'd have to really nerd out and have a lot of time on your hands or not want to stare at the market, and you want to do this on your own, which I completely understand. But the last time the 2 players from a team that didn't even win their league would go potentially in the top 3, maybe at worst the top 5. That's what you have with Colorado. It's a program. Colorado was pretty good this past year, which given where they've been is pretty remarkable. But they had 2 great players, pretty much the signature players in the sport this past year. And there have been plenty of programs that have top 5 players, 2 top 5 players. But they're usually programs that have won a championship, right? You're throwing around Alabama, you're throwing around Georgia, back in the old days, USC. I mean, that kind of stuff happened, but you didn't have it at Colorado. So these same 2 guys were on a team that won 4 games. Now, there's a reason why it's a team that then jumped and doubled their number of wins in a year. So what to do with them, right? Here you have these fascinating 2 players, and you've got terrible organizations that are now forced to bet the house and get it right. If they bet the house and get it wrong, they suck for the next 3 to 5 years. That's the way it works. So Travis Hunter, because a lot of this stuff is going on today, it's going to blow up the news because Colorado, is Boulder. Well, it's a cool place anyway, particularly this time of year. But there are NFL people all over that place because these 2 players decide what happens with the entire draft. And one of the most important players of the draft will be Shedeur Sanders. He'll be somebody's face of the franchise. And if they get it wrong, they're terrible for the next 3 years. So it's really an interesting bet on him and really both of them. So Travis Hunter is a 2-way player. And I think he's a 2-way player for at least the first couple of years in the NFL. I mean, I could really nerd out and talk about, is this something that future players would be able to do or want to do? And that is not play every single down on offense and every single down on defense, but go back and forth. And I think the response back is maybe. Like there may be guys that want to pull it off and can't pull it off, but he is the modern day version of Deion Sanders, who could have been a player that pulled it off, and at times he did. So you have Travis Hunter, who I think will play off and on both sides of the ball in the NFL. probably for the next couple of years, probably no more than 3 years because you'll just wear him out. But I think you should play on both sides of the ball early on. He's the best player in the draft. He's the best football player of the last few decades. And so you got something there. You've got a player there. And the thing that he does is he takes up 1.5 roster spots. So instead of having to go and find a 6th or 7th defensive back, you've got one. Instead of having to have a 4th receiver, you have one. I know it sounds weird to look at it in terms of economics, but that is exactly what the guy lets you do. He's a great player that lets you go and spend money elsewhere because you can play him on both sides of the ball and not worry at all. He's great at both. He is. I don't know how it shakes out. I don't know ultimately if he's a receiver. It depends on the team. It depends on the quarterback. I don't know. But I would bet 2 years, 3 years in, you would play him both ways, and that's perfectly fine. You wouldn't wear him out. They know what they're doing in the NFL. And he can pull it off. And so there's a bunch of stuff you have to factor in to these two players and the draft and the Browns and the Giants. You need a franchise quarterback now or at least very soon. The New York Times has already floated the name Arch Manning. So, of course, that's hanging out there. We have no idea whether that's going to be accurate or not, but it's already hanging out there. It's a name that's already hanging out there. So, if you're the Browns or the Giants, you either end up with Shedeur Sanders, and that is the guy. That's the face of your franchise, and you've bet everyone's job and the immediate future on this one player. And if you get it wrong, you will stay the Browns and the Giants, and you will suck for the next 4 to 5 years. You're not going to be able to bail yourself out of it. Now, if you don't think he's the face of the franchise, then you take someone else, and if Travis Hunter is there, you do that. But then the next year, you've got to go find the quarterback who's the face of the franchise, either this year or the next year. And if you wait a year, you probably lose your job anyway. That's how serious this bet is. So if you walk through this, okay, pressure. I mean, this is real pressure. This is why I talk all the time about this is really the most important time of the year, because this, if you're a fan of a terrible organization, Dallas, then you have to get it right or you stay there. The next 3 to 4 years of a franchise with their bad teams at the top of the draft, it's defined by this pick and this player, especially if it's quarterback. Especially if it's quarterback. There was a good argument this morning. I thought this was pretty good. And I don't know that you know the answer. You really don't. I've said for a long time, I like Shedeur Sanders. I've said it for a couple of years now. I thought he was pro-ready. I know because his name is Sanders and because he's pretty flashy, automatically he's polarizing. But I don't find those things as a negative. Now, I could be wrong. I mean, this is a heck of a gamble. But I've liked him. I've liked his skill set. I think the fact that he played behind a horrible offensive line, he's been sacked more than any other player in the sport. He's been hit more than any other player in the sport. I view all those things as a plus. I do. It's a tough guy who's been around. I also view it as a plus that he's grown up in a celebrity life. You can say cocky all you want, but what you don't want to have is you bet your entire franchise and all your money and all your jobs on a quarterback. And it's some guy with the moment's too big. It's some guy that can't handle the talk shows. It's some guy that can't handle the booing. It's some guy that can't handle the noise. And it's a really noisy world when you are the entire franchise. Okay? You end up with the New York Giants and you're a quarterback, they have bet the entire franchise on you in New York. So the fact that he has grown up in a celebrity life is a positive, in my opinion. It's not a negative. I wouldn't want a guy, if I had to bet the house, bet my job and the organization on a player that can handle life in New York, I don't know that I need a guy that's never been around it. College is one thing. The game itself is light years better than the NFL, and the pressure is 10x. 10x, especially if you're quarterback. Good argument today on ESPN. I think this is Stephen A. Smith and Dan Orlovsky, who I think is good. Yeah, there's a little bit of screaming, but I don't know. I think it's going to justify because this is these are two such high-profile players, such polarizing players, and you've got bad organizations that we all now know if they don't get this right in the next couple of weeks, we're going to look up in 3 years and still make fun of the Browns and the Giants.
According to the reports, obviously, and I spoke to Travis Hunter, he wants to play both sides of the ball. We all know that. There's no news there. But according to the reports, you have some teams that's cool with that, some teams that are reticent about that. Which category do the Giants fall under? That's point number one. That's question number one. And question number two, you trying to tell me they need that more than they need a quarterback?
Well, you don't draft off need, you draft off of want. That's what the good organizations do, and best. The Giants should play him both ways, but he should be a wide receiver. I would play him at wide receiver and then sprinkle him in at defensive back. But if you're the Giants and you're sitting there going, well, we like Shador, Travis Hunter is an absolute one of one. I think we don't say this in the draft process, and the draft isn't like, I'm not Mel Kiper. He's not going to fail. He's fail-proof, and that's rare in this league, and that's rare in this draft. He's remarkably physically talented. He's got unbelievable natural skill and talent. His work ethic is insane. His character, the type of human being he is insane. He's not going to fail.
Whoa. My retort to that would be, I feel the same way about Shador Sanders, and he's a quarterback. I believe in that brother.
I do too.
I truly do. And listen, obviously you're not throwing any shade on his character like some of the sorry people out there are trying to do. We get that part. But the flip side to it is not just about his character. I mean, the brother's got poise. He's got a game. You know,
no
somebody
doubt.
was throwing that football to Travis Hunter, and the last time I checked, have you seen? Listen, so they got Russell Wilson now. All right, what else we going with? No.
Jameis.
Not Danny DeVito, Tommy DeVito. What do you say, Danny
They got
DeVito?
Jameis.
Come on, Tommy DeVito. And Jameis Winston. I like Jameis. I like Jameis as a person. I'm really rooting for him. He's such a nice guy. But I'm just saying to you, that's what you have. I'm like, yo, don't you need a quarterback if you're the New York Giants after this year?
Yeah, you can stop there. Okay, don't pick Shador Sanders. I mean, Travis Hunter is great, and I agree. I mean, that's just a great player. Barring bad luck, you know what you have. But sooner or later, if you are the Browns, if you are the Titans, if you are the Giants, if you are the Jets, you can go down the list. Sooner or later, whether it's now or next year, because if you don't pick a quarterback this year and you lose again, you're going to suck again. Okay? You're going to lose your jobs, and the cycle starts again and again and again. So you either find a quarterback right now, and it's Shador Sanders, and it works, or you wait a year and you hope that you've won enough games that you get to pick whatever's the greatest guy next year. And then you better get it right then. I mean, it's there's never an absolute, because I like to say a quarterback is a byproduct of what's around them, but you have to bet on it. Like, you have to hit. You have to double down. And then you have to get it right, or you're finished and you suck for the next 4 to 5 years, and people have the same conversation every single year about you. That's what makes it fascinating. It's not, what the Eagles are going to do. It's these teams that have been stuck for a long time in quicksand that have no choice but to bet the house on a player or two and get it right, or we have the same conversation about them over and over again. What's funny is Dallas, for all the talk about Dallas and Dak Prescott, and there's plenty of that, what I predicted yesterday is exactly what has happened already, and that is, he's on his way up. But Dallas has, I'm not saying Dak Prescott is Tom Brady. I'm not saying that. But that's not their problem. I know you want it to be their problem, but it's not. Their problem is something else. They don't have enough players, good players, with him. The Giants, the Browns, the Jets, that same group that's bad every year, they can't find that guy. And that's why the top of this draft and Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter is fascinating, because it's not just two cool players and you're interested that it works out. You're talking about betting the entire organization on a pick this year.